And hello, everybody. We are live. Welcome to the Indie Show. I am lawyer Joey Vitale, lawyer for creative entrepreneurs. I started this show, the Indie Show, because as much as I love being a lawyer and as helpful as I think my services are to businesses, I know that there's a lot more to a successful business than just getting the legal ducks in a row. And so today I'm so excited to bring Nicole on. Nicole is a millennial lawyer who really is innovating in the legal space, and we'll talk a little bit about how she's built recognition there. She recently started a new business where she provides branding services for other lawyers, which is awesome that she provides that niche. And I'm going to let Nicole introduce herself real quick. But before I do that, I wanted to introduce Nicole and just give you guys a sense of how we met and why I am so excited to have her on today.
Well, we're both smiling so hard to be here.
So here's the deal. As some of you guys know, a couple years ago, I was a lawyer at a law firm. Didn't really feel like it was the right fit for me. Wasn't sure what I wanted to do, whether I wanted to change practice areas, get out of the law completely. And then I got into podcasts, and I found this podcast by Nicole that was all about millennial lawyers innovating, and she would bring different people on, and it was really motivational and inspirational for me to see that I wasn't the only one who wasn't comfortable with just kind of being a traditional lawyer. And I really Nicole was the only lawyer that I could find in the podcast world that was having these types of conversations. And so as somebody who, at the time, I really wasn't in the startup space, wasn't in the creative space, my world didn't have this sense of innovation. And so Nicole, in a lot of ways, was my one role model.
Oh my gosh.
This is possible. And I'm really not over-exaggerating here. I had a couple role models that I built up as oh my gosh, there's someone doing something different. There's someone doing something different. And Nicole was really the only lawyer in that space that I had to look to. And so it went from her being, a real role model for me to us connecting a few times over Instagram and Snapchat to us developing a friendship. And I'm so excited to have her on. I think she's going to have some really great tidbits to share with you guys. So that being said, Nicole, do you want to talk to us a little bit about the podcast and what you're currently doing with your branding business?
Sure. And thank you for the kind introduction. It makes my heart feel good when I hear people actually connect with the podcast. So a little bit about what I'm doing now, and then I'll bring in the podcast. So I actually don't practice law anymore. So I used to be a lawyer, practiced for 5 years, and now I have a business called Abboud Media. It is primarily focused on creating or helping lawyers create videos for marketing purposes. So any kind of branding, marketing videos they want to use to build their businesses up, that's what we can do for them. It's a production agency. And then we also help in the podcasting realm as well, because podcasting is my number one love. And as you mentioned, that is where you found me. So the podcast that you were listening to was the Gen Y Lawyer. It started over about 2.5 years ago. And at the time I was just kind of looking for answers just like you. I was trying to find other lawyers out there who are doing things differently, kind of innovating, like you said, just doing things differently. The profession's so traditional, and I want to see a different side to it. And I went and purposely found these people, talked to them, recorded it, made it a podcast. And it's been going ever since. It's been going strong. So very proud of that aspect of it. And it's actually the reason why I ended up getting enough or mustering up enough courage to leave the practice of law and start this business that I have.
And I think that, your ability to go there in terms of the podcast world and really dive into starting those conversations is very, very cool. And also being able to say, I want to step away from being a practicing attorney, but I want to keep one foot in that space.
Yeah,
I think is really interesting. And I think it's smart of you to have that niche because you've built a lot of relationships around that.
Exactly. And it's a niche that I understand and that I actually really, really do care about. I love working with lawyers, like I always like to say, instead of against them.
I love it.
Yeah. And you know what? When I set up the podcast, I not only spoke to lawyers who were innovating, but also lawyers who left the practice. So I kind of laid out this roadmap for myself without even realizing it by meeting all these people who did it. And again, it gave me the courage and the know-how and the skills to actually do it myself.
I love it. So here's why I'm so excited to have Nicole on, because she is a wealth of information when it comes to social media, and especially like video and in audio with podcasts. So if you guys have been interested in maybe doing some live video, some audio stuff, maybe you saw my post on Anchor recently, and Nicole might be able to touch on that. But in addition to kind of knowing all of this stuff, Nicole has been to some really cool conferences recently. And one of them was VidCon. And Nicole, what is VidCon?
So it is a video conference. It's one of the biggest conventions out there for YouTube creators, for just any kind of video content creators out there. I believe it was started by John Green's brother, John Green, the author of The Fault in Our Stars. So I'm not going to remember his name.
Hank.
Tom?
Hank.
Oh, Hank, there you go. So I think it was started by him and someone else, Philip DeFranco maybe? I'm not going to know their names. Either way, they're big YouTube folks, and it's just a big conference where video creators get together. There are workshops, there are seminars. We learn about the latest and greatest in what's happening on YouTube, how to excel, how to build a community through video.
I think that's so awesome. And if you guys don't know Hank Green, he's kind of like my man crush.
Okay.
He's very, very smart and good. He's got great videos on YouTube that are very educational and fun. He's also got a really fun podcast with his brother, who, like Nicole said, wrote The Fault in Our Stars and is an author. I love those two a lot. So what did you learn at VidCon? Because there are a lot of major players in that space, and I didn't know that it was happening and then couldn't make it. But what were some of the takeaways that you got there?
And I actually I found out about it a few weeks before it was actually happening, and it was my first time. So next year I will let you know and we'll go together.
Awesome.
So it was my first time and it was overwhelming. It's definitely a different world over there. So they have different tracks for different levels of people. So some of them who are just kind of testing out the waters, who are just fans of other YouTube creators, there's a level for them. Then there's a level for creators. So if you're someone who's into creating videos, they have seminars, workshops, all those kind of things. And then there's the industry folks at the top. So that's the very high level, the media CEOs kind of people. But I took a lot of notes, but I kind of I was reflecting on them. I want to try to summarize them and provide the most important parts. But I think one of the biggest sentiments that was kind of echoed by all the creators who have any kind of following and a lot of influence on YouTube and just through the videos they create is find your own unique voice. So find your own niche, and it can be anything, right? If you are into something that you think no one else is into, you will likely find a community. They're out there and they will find you.
Yeah.
So whatever kind of content you want to create, if it relates to something you're actually really passionate about, you're skilled at, you really love doing, you will connect with others. The second biggest lesson was consistency. All the creators were talking about how you can't just create a few videos and put them out there and think it's gonna, some might go viral, but for the most part, it has to be consistent effort over time before you see any results.
I think it's really interesting that you say that, and I know that you probably have more points, but I wanted to stop you there because I think that a lot of people, when I hear video, they don't necessarily think about community building.
That's true, because it's just you and a camera, right?
And I think that's a really interesting consequence in this space with the internet being what it is. Hi, Akoma and Stella, thanks for providing that link to the VidCon. I love that Akoma's on here.
Yes, I know, right?
fellow attorney trying to do really, really cool things.
I'm looking down at the phone. That's why I'm looking down, guys. So that's true I think that's probably true for a lot of, I guess, any kind of art you're going to create. There's a huge aspect of it where it's just you and whatever it is you're creating. So for videos, it's you and the camera. For podcasting, it's just you and the microphone. Obviously, you might have another guest on the other side, but there's a huge component where it's just you. It's very singular, creating something, but it's the sharing it out. That's where you start building that community and start connecting with other people who find it and listen or watch. So yeah, it's kind of a balance of you being alone, doing your thing, and then sharing it out and building that community.
And when they talked about consistency, is there like a special math to that? Like, do they think that like weekly, daily?
Yeah.
How crazy do you need to be?
So I heard different things, and I think this is it's gonna vary. So I don't think there's just one set rule, but what I heard a lot at VidCon was, in terms of videos on YouTube, 3 times a week is really the sweet spot, which I know blew my mind. I do once a week. Now, with that said, with that 3 times a week number uttered, I do want to say it varies. I mean, maybe you can only do once a week, and that's fine. I think, again, as long as you're showing up consistently and pretty often, maybe not 3 times a week, because that is a bit aggressive. I wouldn't be able to do that. Yeah. Most people are busy, unless that's their full-time job. But whatever schedule you decide to stick with, just do it, and I think you'll be fine. And it's really what your audience is able to consume. Because if you're speaking,
that's a good point.
Right? If you're speaking to busy people, then 3 times a week is going to overwhelm them, and they're probably just going to watch one of those 3.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, interesting. And I know I cut you off there. So
no,
we talked about niching down. We talked about consistency. Were there other points there that you wanted to highlight?
Yeah, sure. So also some more notes from VidCon. A lot of the creators, a lot of the panelists were talking about respecting the context of the different platforms that you're on. So something that I talk about often is just repurposing content, and I'm sure a lot of people hear that, where you just create one thing and try to repurpose it on different platforms. And obviously I understand the importance of that, right? You want to try to target people on different platforms in different areas. You want to make sure everyone sees what you're doing, and you want to get the most mileage out of your work. Mm-hmm. I get that. But a little part of me kind of understood what they meant by respect the context. Like, if you are creating a video for YouTube specifically, you can't necessarily just share a link to Facebook. You have to post it directly on Facebook, but also be aware that Facebook doesn't start playing, so the sound doesn't start unless you click it, right? When you're just scrolling, all you see is the visual. So it's important to understand that on Facebook, you might need to actually have captions, and those first few seconds, which I heard are 1.8 while you're scrolling, maybe the 1.8 seconds in the beginning of a Facebook video are the most important, and that's what needs to stop people in their tracks. While on YouTube, maybe you have a few more seconds to go, and usually you can hear the sound you would go there purposely to click play. So just kind of understanding the different context that everything that you create, it needs to be kind of tailored for the different platforms. You can't just create one thing and then share it out on different platforms.
Now,
so that was a big one.
In kind of your opinion, for people who are just starting, does that mean shoot different videos for different platforms, or maybe have one be kind of your main platform and then you repurpose that video and natively upload that repurposed video elsewhere?
Yeah, I would go with the latter.
Okay.
Again, unless you have the time and the ability or the resources to want to shoot different things, but no, that's not usually necessary. I'm more of a fan of creating a video, for example, and then for the promotion of it, maybe you can just take a little snippet out of it and put that on Facebook, add captions to it. So if it's a 10-minute video, maybe take 30 seconds to a minute and put that on Facebook to promote it. Take a little piece of it and try to put it on your Instagram stories, if you can do that as well. So it's not going to require you doing the same thing over and over.
Okay. And Nicole, have I talked with you yet about this cool app that I found called repurpose.io?
I don't know if you have, or maybe I've seen you talk about it.
It's incredible.
Tell me about it. Okay.
I love the crap out of it.
I have to write this down.
It's repurpose.io.
Okay.
Sick. Thanks for joining. P the Politician, you're the man. I think you guys are both going to like hearing this a lot. So there's this app called repurpose.io. It's so cool because you can set a rule so that if you go live in a certain space, it will automatically take that video and do something else with it. So you set up a system. So it can take your Facebook Live video and put it onto YouTube. It can take your Facebook Live video and save the video onto someplace like Google Drive. It can automatically strip the audio for you and save that somewhere.
Wow, that's pretty cool, actually.
And it's $20 a month. The owner of it, it's still in beta form. I can provide a link here for anybody who's interested. It's still in beta form. It works great, but the owner's so committed to it. He's got his own Facebook group that's got a really great community where they point out requested features and some problems. So he's weekly updating this app.
Okay.
I'm using it in the background if you guys are seeing how I'm slowly putting stuff onto YouTube from the Facebook Live. But it's a huge time saver and can really help us kind of repurpose this the way that we want to.
Yeah, no, I think I'm especially interested in extracting the audio from the video.
Yeah.
Someone was asking what the app is called again.
It's repurpose.io. Stella, thanks for putting the site in there.
Awesome, thank you.
I think it runs about $20 a month, which is really great because if the alternative is to pay somebody to do that all manually for you, it's a really good service.
Yeah, worth checking out.
And if you guys are interested in kind of how I'm doing it, I'd be more than happy to have a discussion with you off air and give you some details. So you mentioned audio, and let's talk about this other podcast this other conference that you attended, which is about podcasts. And so, if you guys aren't in the podcast world, you might not know that Adam Carolla is kind of like the man in the podcast space. And he recently had a conference that he led. Is that right?
Yeah, it was a little master class, a 6-hour master class. I don't know if I would call it a conference, but a little get together, I suppose. Yeah, so that was just last weekend, actually. And it was local. So I'm lucky enough to live in Los Angeles. So a lot of things kind of happen around here. So I'm able to kind of just drive down to anything that I find interesting. But so Adam Carolla, most people know him from The Man Show and just a morning talk show on radio. Mm-hmm. So he is part of a network called Podcast One, and it is, I believe it's one of the biggest ones, if not the biggest podcasting network out there. So I kind of just wanted to go and learn more about how they built that network and how all the different podcasters are kind of building up their own brands. They tend to go with celebrities, so celebrities bring their own draw to podcasting. So that session or the masterclass was pretty informative. They talked about a little bit about creating, how to promote your show, how to just be yourself, show your personality. Talked about some technical aspects of getting your show up and running. And then how to bring on sponsors if that's something you're interested in.
Wow.
I'm not sure what aspects of those you want to delve into deeper.
So there's a lot there. I think I want to start with maybe something that I think might apply to most of our viewers, which is that if you are at a space where you've started a business and your main focus right now is getting revenue up.
Yeah.
I think everybody knows that there's some value in podcasts. And
a lot of value.
Might be some, a lot of value. But some people are, I think, confused at what exactly the ROI is there. And so if you're at a place with your business or personally where you need to start something with your time that generates money, how would you respond to someone asking if they should start a podcast?
So for someone who actually just needs to generate revenue right away, podcasting is probably not the way to go because it is a long-term play. Mm-hmm. By long-term, I don't mean years and years. It could be a few months. It could be a year or longer. But podcasting is definitely more of a relationship builder, but also something where you're laying down a foundation and might not generate revenue right away, assuming you're not a celebrity who can just get sponsors right away, right?
Mm-hmm. And I think that's great to point out because the way that you the immediate revenue generator for podcasting is sponsors. Yeah,
so that's one of the biggest ways to get some kind of advertiser or sponsor to sponsor the show and you kind of just promote them.
Yeah.
There are other ways. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say because if you have a product or service-based business, you're not really. My understanding is that the podcast world isn't to sell that service.
I mean, at least not directly, and it shouldn't be. Although a lot of podcasters do, if they have some kind of service or course or something, that is something that they're able to promote through their podcast and sell it. But it's all based on building that community first. I know it's very cliche, but it's building that group of people who trust you enough to want to buy it from you anyway.
And I know that you have definitely built a community around what you're doing. So I want to kind of brag on you for a little bit, if that's okay with you. I'm
blushing already. But sure.
Tell us a little bit about the recognition that you've gotten since you started the Gen Y lawyer podcast. I always forget how to say it. I'm sorry.
No, you got it. You got it right.
When did that start again?
March 2015.
Okay, and so since March of 2015, how has that yielded recognition for you?
Yeah, so in a great way, immensely. I think I am a great example of someone who doesn't have the big numbers that people think they need to have to make any kind of impact or make money, both on social media and through the podcast and other things that I do. I was actually just reflecting on this yesterday because, knock on wood, I just got a sponsor for my podcast.
Awesome.
I know, thanks, and that will be coming up in a few months, but I don't have the thousands and thousands of downloads that people think they need to have, right? So let that be a lesson that if you have a community that's loyal, you can make money, right? So it started in 2015, and for about 9 months, I don't want to say there were crickets because people were listening, they were downloading, but it was just doing its thing. It was just kind of chugging along, growing slowly. I was kind of getting the word out, promoting it as much as I could. And then, and maybe like that 9 month, 10 month mark, I started getting a little bit more recognition. So I got featured in the ABA Journal, which is the American Bar Association. I haven't had coffee today.
No,
Journal.
And for all you non-lawyers out there, there is one bar association that is kind of at the national level, for all lawyers, and that's the one that Nicole got featured in. It's a pretty big deal.
I mean, it was a little blurb, but it was good nonetheless. No, I appreciated it. So it was in there. The Daily Journal in Los Angeles, another pretty big publication, I suppose. They also came to my house and took pictures and did a feature on me. I know. I don't know how they found me, but hey, they found me. So it started there. So I started getting some, I guess, print publication recognition. And then it just started getting, so then the download started to increase. I started to get emails from listeners that I don't know, kind of sharing their stories with me and how they connected with me and connected with the message. And then I got a few people interested in sponsoring. It wasn't a good fit. It was more of a salesy kind of thing, and I wasn't going for that. So, but the point is that it attracted some interest, right, from sponsors, and it's kind of just growing. Obviously, there are more plans in the future, but again, I don't have massive numbers, but it is a niche topic. It's a niche community, and it's something that I care about, and I've grown.
I think that it's awesome. Well,
Thank you.
And let's talk about this whole top 100 with the ABA.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I can't remember how that got on there. So the ABA, the American Bar Association, also lists all the top blogs because lawyers. That's usually how we create content. It's through blogging, right? Or that's how it's been traditionally. Now we're all kind of exploring these new areas, podcasting and video. But in 2016, so just last year, it won a spot on the ABA Top 100 blogs. I didn't check to see if it was the only podcast, but I thought it was a little strange that a podcast would be on there. But I'm grateful for it.
Well, that just says how big of, I think, a dent that you put in that space.
Possibly.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And this year, you know what, thankfully this year they expanded. They changed their whole format. And now they're including videos. They're including podcasts as a category that could win.
That they're kind of separating more categories out there.
Exactly.
Nicole, can you do me a favor? Stella just left a comment, and I can't read it on my screen.
Sure.
With the way that the background is set up, but it looks like a good question.
Yeah, so she says, Nicole has information that is actively sought after. What does a guitarist do with so much content out there? Okay, a guitarist who, I'm assuming you create some music. Well, you got to start sharing it. Stella, are you putting it, what are you doing with it right now? So you have all this content. What are you doing with it right now? Just, I guess, leave it in the comments and.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to have the conversation around it.
Yeah, but in general, there are really 3 forms of content that you can create. Video.
Stella does lessons.
Oh, you do lessons. Okay. All right. So first thing that came to mind is to obviously start, and Joey, let's see how you feel about this. To maybe, I don't want to say create a course, but maybe use something like Udemy or what is it, Teachable. But no, before any of that kind of stuff, why don't you just start baby steps? Start on social media. Do you have any kind of social media presence where you're sharing just pictures or videos of you giving guitar lessons or you playing any kind of music?
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably a great place to start.
Yeah.
And then obviously work up to YouTube. that's the first thing that comes to mind, right? Just creating
Yeah,
videos,
that's
showcase what you
probably
do.
where people would be searching for that kind of thing. I think that's a good point. And
Exactly.
Stella, my tip in terms of the class aspect that Nicole said, Nicole knew that would rub me some way. So I think that classes are cool. You want to make sure that you're not putting in a lot of time in the beginning without knowing that there's going to be a payoff at the end. And so if there's a way that you can combine a class component with something that allows you to build a following so that when that class is ready to launch, you've got people who are already in that funnel and might buy. You don't want to work exclusively on this product, and especially you product sellers kind of know what I'm talking about here. It can be tough to put something together that's beautiful, and then after you're done with it, you start the process of trying to sell it, and that can make things hard. So if you want to, just keep the sales thing in mind while you're working on building that out.
Yeah. No, and she says she currently puts it up on Facebook and Instagram, and then a small bit on YouTube. Okay, perfect. So I would say keep doing the YouTube thing. So keep putting your videos up there, and again, videos of you giving lessons, videos of you playing, showcasing what you know, and then how-to tutorials as well. And then for the Facebook and Instagram, keep doing that as well, but also just document a lot of the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
How
Nicole, one thought I have there is that it's my understanding that one nice thing about the podcast world that I think sets it apart from everything else, aside from the fact that it's audio, is that it allows you to have episodes really well. And I think if you're on Instagram or Facebook or even YouTube sometimes, having those numbered episodes that you hope everybody listens through all of them can be tough, but podcast is a very friendly platform that says, let's start here and work your way through all these different clips.
And it can be, and I think some of the changes that are coming to Apple Podcasts later this year or early next year are going to allow you to categorize things a little bit better into episodes and series. Yeah, but I think, I'm trying to think, because not that they're that different. So if you want to create videos, that's great. And I love them both. I love podcasting and videos almost equally. But I think it depends on what your comfort level is, Stella, with being on camera, or if you prefer just being behind a microphone. For the podcast, and I don't know what other guitar-related podcasts there are out there. I would do some research to see how other people have done theirs, if any exist. And then see how you can incorporate what you know and teach it through podcasting, and then maybe connect with other guitarists and other people in that space and interview them on your show as well. So it's kind of a different thing with a podcast, because you can still showcase what you know and what you do, less visual, but you can also find others to come onto your show and contribute their ideas as well, and that still adds to your brand.
I think that's a really good idea. Stella, thank you for asking that question. I think that led to a really cool conversation, and hopefully we can have a follow-up discussion about that.
She does have another question. I don't know if we can answer it now, answer it later, up to you. This might be a question for you, Joey. So because it's a legal question, and I'll play backup for you. So what would the legal position be on teaching online guitar lessons using a popular song? I feel like you probably get that a lot, huh?
Yeah, that's a good question, Stella. No matter what platform that you are on, playing a popular song is tricky with copyright issues. The number one thing you can do is see if you can focus on songs that are in the public domain. Then you can avoid a lot of it. I know that YouTube is this way. I don't know if other podcasts are changing, where it's not so much about you can kind of put aside copyright laws if everybody's okay with it happening. So YouTube now has this relationship where if it knows that you are playing a song, it's fine with that in the video as long as it credits the song that's being played. And so if there is a way for you, and I don't know the answer, because you would be playing the song, not playing the recording. So I'm not sure how that would look. But yeah, there might be a platform that kind of allows that to happen on that space.
Yeah.
Nicole, do you have any follow-up thoughts
there? I thought it was great. It was a great answer. It's always tricky because it's hard telling artists and creators that you can't do something legally, especially when they see so many people doing it. And they're like, but they're doing it.
I know.
But it's almost like, okay, maybe they just haven't gotten caught yet. And again, just because the mass is doing it doesn't mean it's right. So if you can avoid and maybe just do original songs, that's always better.
Yep. And something that I'm hoping that listeners of this show and followers, of the Facebook group at Indie Law are starting to realize is that if you are a creative entrepreneur, creative is the adjective, and you're really a business owner. And the last thing you want to do is make what you're doing as a business depend on something that can go away if somebody decides that it's illegal. And so, there might be other artists who are doing it, and maybe their revenue generation isn't depending on it, and maybe it is, and that's not a great business decision. So when it comes to the law, just understand that you want to make sure that as a business owner, you are decreasing the chance of something that is making you money going away tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah. Mo, thanks for hopping on the
Good
show,
question.
man.
Oh, hey, Mo. And goodbye, P, the politician.
Bye, P.
Hey, Denise.
So these were all, I think, really great topics so far. And Nicole, I know that you've been kind of observing the social media space since, I think earlier you said like 2012, 2013. I've seen you, really embrace different platforms and kind of use them in ways that they should be. As somebody who's kind of been into the social media space for a while, some of us, maybe we're only comfortable with Facebook, and even that is just kind of on a personal level. What are some lessons that you've learned in like the 4 or 5 years that you've been on all these social platforms?
I've been a social media practitioner.
Yeah.
Which I imagine most of us are. So it's funny. I think my love for the different platforms kind of ebbs and flows. There are times where and this is pretty recently, there are times where I'm really into Twitter or Snapchat. There was a time where I was really into Snapchat, and then it kind of died off. And I've heard different things. I've heard some people say you should be on all of them because you should have a presence everywhere. So I don't know, maybe we can touch on that a little bit, because I don't know how I feel about that. Like sure, it would be nice to be everywhere if you can kind of do a good job on all those platforms. And then another part of me thinks it's better than not being available at all or present at all.
Yeah, I think it partially depends on where you're at as a business owner. If you're at a place where time is money and you don't really have the resources to invest that time and money into things that might not pay off, just focus on where your target market is. If business starts to grow and you have that wiggle room, it's great to have a pulse on new stuff that's coming out and get familiarity with it, so that if your target market starts to shift and beyond that platform, you already know how to use it.
Right, exactly. But for the last few months, I decided that I wanted to focus on just a few of the platforms. So I'm kind of on the big ones: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all those. And I really wanted to just double down on maybe 2 of them. So I chose Instagram and LinkedIn. For me, that's where Instagram because I enjoy it more than any of the others, and LinkedIn because that's where lawyers are and that's who my target audience is. And I've actually been seeing results from them just from focusing on those 2. In the way I like to approach social media, it's more of so there's some thought that's put into it. I do sit down on Sunday or Monday and think about what I want to post and if I need to create any kind of icon, graphics. So there's some thought, and maybe there's some common theme for the week. But I don't think I overthink it. And a huge part of my interactions on social media is just throughout the week, how can I engage with people? How can I make comments on what people are posting and really actually pay attention to what others are posting and not just scrolling through?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I approach it. It's more of let me actually be social on these. I've been thinking of how I can use Instagram more of a business tool where I can actually drive people somewhere that eventually leads to a sale or something, right? Leads them to do something that I need them to do. So I'm kind of learning how to use Instagram a little bit better. So that's something I'm kind of focusing on now. But in general, I like to just be present on social media, share articles that are either ones that I wrote myself or something I created myself, or curating other people's articles that bring attention to what I do. So I will post articles about videos, about video marketing, content marketing, So even though I didn't write them, when people read them, they associate it with me anyways.
Yeah. Well, I think that's great, because I think there is sometimes a fear of publishing work that's not yours. So I think that's a good practice to get into.
Yeah, well, I'm not publishing them. Like, I don't know if that's the right word to use. I'm just sharing them on there.
Yeah, sure. I just meant hitting like the publish button.
Yeah, you're right.
Or whatever.
Because LinkedIn actually calls it publishing, and that's when you're actually like typing that stuff in there, like it's your own thing.
That's a good thing to correct me on. So I wanted to talk about some points that you've kind of become like a video pro. And Stella asks a really good question of, is there a good time length before you lose interest in the audience?
I just noticed that. Again, that is not something that I can answer. Anyone can really answer for you. It is, and here's why. There are, and I've been hearing, okay, let me back up. So I've been hearing that, or I used to hear that the shorter the better. So keep your videos up to 2 minutes or maybe 3 minutes at most, right? And now, in the last few months, I've been hearing that long form content is actually doing better on YouTube, where something between 10 to 12 minutes is really the ideal place to be, or 16 minutes, and I hear different numbers all the time, but longer videos are actually performing better. I think ultimately, again, it always comes back to what your audience is willing to put up with, and I think how you can figure that out is by creating different length videos, uploading them, and just checking your statistics.
That's a great point.
Yeah, it's something you test out and play around with it. It doesn't need to be, sure there's a formula, but it doesn't have to be followed every time. Because let's say you play around with a 10-minute video and people actually stick around for 8 minutes of it, that's pretty good. Mm-hmm. So you know that 8 minute is where, that's their threshold. So the next video you make is 8 minutes, right?
Yeah, I really like that answer a lot.
And I think this is a good saying that I heard, I can't remember who said it, but someone said that there's no such thing as too long in terms of podcasting, but I guess it can apply to anything. There's only too boring.
Oh, I like that.
So you can, you know what I mean? You can have a 40-minute episode and it can feel like it was 2 minutes because it was so good. Mm-hmm. And you can have a 5-minute video and it can feel like eternity because it was just like sucking out your soul.
Yep.
So if you make it entertaining and informative and whatever it is that you do, I think people will stick to it if it's good enough, if it's valuable.
And then I think a good follow-up question to that is, in addition to the time of the video, live video is like everywhere right now. I obviously love it. I know that you do live video as well.
A little bit, not as much as you.
But do you like live video versus recorded video? What are the pros and cons there?
I don't think I prefer it. I mean, I feel indifferent about it. I think live video, I think they both have their different pros and cons, to be honest. I think going live is such a rush, and I can understand why people get super nervous before going live, because you're right there and there are people on the other end, hopefully. And there's more of a genuine kind of off the cuff, like, this is what I'm doing. It's okay if not everything is perfect. It's okay if I mess up. And obviously people are more accepting of that. And they not that they anticipate it, but they're okay with it and almost don't even notice it if there's a mix up. With I guess just a traditional video, that's a recorded video that you're maybe putting on YouTube, there is a little bit of an expectation that it's a little bit more polished, not super produced, but you remove all the things that went wrong, right? That's behind the scenes stuff that no one needs to see. They just need the good stuff.
Yep.
So I think there's pros and cons. With live, you're able to interact. Hopefully, if you're actually speaking to someone. With recorded, it's a little, you can't, unless you do it in the comment section. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts on recorded video? Because you love live.
So I love live mostly. I'll tell you why I love live. Because earlier this week, I tried to do something that was recorded. Okay. And I did about 20 takes.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know myself, and I know that if I record it, that makes me really nervous. And I feel like it has to be perfect. And I know that if I mess up, I can say, okay, let's redo that. And so it takes a lot of time just for me to get it done. And then it takes me a lot of time on the editing side to make sure that I've edited it the right way. And so live, yes, it's a rush. But it allows me as a business owner to be more okay with the fact that mistakes might be made and it's just done. Yeah. And then I think it also has this effect. If somebody watches something that they know is done live, like you said, like they are a little bit more forgiving. They don't expect super high quality. I'm gonna plug myself real quick. If you guys don't know this, this is the first show with the new layout. So I hope you guys like the dark theme here.
I like it.
But yeah, I mean, you do what you can to make the live videos as professional as you can, but you also know that you can have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, and again, they just serve slightly different purposes, because depending on what type of video you want to create, it might be impossible on live. Maybe you need to incorporate graphics, or it's a tutorial or something that you just can't do.
So I think that's a great point, because I want to talk more about what the types of service that you do. I know that you've got like you got different types of buckets of services that you can help with, like branding and video for law firms. Mm-hmm. And one of them, which I think is so helpful, and I know I need to do this, is like professional videos that lawyers can put on their websites.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, to your point, that's a situation where a live video probably, that purpose doesn't really fit that situation.
Yeah. Unless, of course, a lawyer does it live, and he or she is just phenomenal at being live, and they want to put that up there, and that's their thing, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. No judgment here. I mean, whatever works for them. So those videos that go on, so you need to understand that a lot of lawyers usually have some kind of gavel or the scales of justice on their website, right? Or like a legal bookshelf behind them. It's just common picture, static images, stock videos that a lot of lawyers use. And I'm not going to lie, I used it at one point too, because I thought that's just like, that's what we do. That's the norm. So when I made my website a few years ago, that's what I put, and quickly removed it. So starting there, it's important to recognize that getting lawyers to put a video instead is a little bit of a hurdle for me. It's hard to educate them on why they need video in the first place, while most people understand that, I want to see your face. Like, that is a good way.
Well, and I'm going to be a little probably sexist here, but it's been my experience that attorneys, and specifically men attorneys, when they think of video, even if they are receptive to it, their idea of a good video is the quality's got to be great, the equipment has to be on point, maybe there needs to be a legal bookshelf in the back that makes me look professional or not, but those are the things that they care about. And as business owners, I do the same thing. I'm sure you do. A lot of people, I think, if we're really true to ourselves, sometimes we care about things when we put it out there, that it matters to us because it's our face on it, but it doesn't actually make a difference with our target buyer.
Yeah, maybe not.
And so that's why I love what you do, because I've learned, and you know it better than I do, that there are certain tips of video making that go way beyond just the technology that's used and how professional it looks in order to make an effective video.
Yeah. No, that's true. And I think a little part of me can't really fault these lawyers for doing that, because that's what they've seen, but also they think that's what clients expect as well.
Right.
And maybe some do. Maybe some want that very, very stiff, serious kind of representation. And that's fine. If they know their audience and that's what they want, then that's what they should create.
And you can help them communicate that probably even better in that video than they would be, even if they had the nicest camera and a great mic.
Exactly. No, and yeah, exactly. And speaking to your point, you're right. There's a lot that goes beyond just the technical aspects. There's a huge, and that's something that I work with my clients with. There's a huge mental component to being in front of a camera and really representing your personality, because it's not easy unless you are used to going live or making videos. It's not natural to just be natural in front of the camera, right? Redundant, but so these videos I go on their websites. It is early in Los Angeles, okay?
No, you're good. You're good.
But so these videos I go on their websites, they're like welcome branded videos that kind of showcase their personality, but also show who they are. Maybe they show their staff, everyone who would be working on their case for them, some behind the scenes action going on, and it's just meant to welcome visitors who go to a website, instead of a static image or just a picture of the lawyer or the law firm. So.
I think it's fantastic that you're doing it. I think that, I mean, the results are in. People engage with video like 4 times more than they do with anything else really that's out right now. Nick, thanks for hopping on. He asks, has it been amazing? Yes, Nick, you missed a ton of great content. Go back when we're done and listen to it all. Some really, really great tips. I want to kind of switch gears here, Nicole, and talk more about you as a business owner.
Okay.
So we've gotten some really great, I think, social media, video, podcast tips from you. But in a lot of ways, you're in the same boat as, the business owners that I talk with. Mm-hmm. And I know that this is a somewhat new business that you're starting. With the funds that you have, how are you choosing to invest in certain help for your business? And what do you see as important at this stage?
Yeah. That's a good question. And I'm trying to stay with the sexy word lean. I'm trying to keep it lean for now.
Love it.
But I've never been someone who has an issue with delegating or using money wisely when I have it, putting it to work for me. It's the problem of getting the money to put it to work. That's usually the issue that a lot of business owners have. So for me right now, because I handle a lot of all the aspects that I do aside from the filming and editing, which I have a very talented videographer. That's where I decided to actually spend the money, because that's something I can't do, and I don't want to do it for the clients. I want it to be really good.
Right.
So I hired someone who can actually do the technical, creative stuff that I can't. Somewhere else that I spend some money on is just kind of online, like software resources, that kind of stuff that help me automate a lot of what I do. So like Acuity scheduling, Buffer, what else? I have TubeBuddy, which is a YouTube extension or Chrome extension for, I guess it's an extension to YouTube that helps you use the right tags, use the right keywords, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I'm going to have to, what's it called? TubeBuddies?
TubeBuddy, so T-U-B-E.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah, Buddies is good too, but it's BUDDY.com. I think there's there's a free version, and I just pay for the next level up, but it just helps me when I'm uploading. It helps me figure out what to write and like what to include, that kind of stuff. So that's where I spend some money on. So it's a lot of resources that I'm just using myself for now.
Okay.
I've considered. I think the next step is to hire some kind of graphic. I don't even know if it would be a graphic artist, but someone who can create the social media graphics and icons that I do right now, and I think they can be much better, so I'd much rather hire someone else to do it.
To all of my graphic designer friends,
I know, right?
Let the floodgates open.
But that's because that's not my strength, and I don't want to be, and even though I'm doing it, because you got to bootstrap and do everything in the beginning yourself, that is the next level up, because I want to free up some time to work on the business, as they say, instead of in it. I think that you need to recognize what you're not good at or what you don't enjoy doing and outsource that as soon as you can.
Yeah, well, I think it's awesome that you're doing it.
Thanks.
Whatever we collectively as a group can do to help provide you some of those creative assistance.
Thank you. And yeah, you're surrounded by creative people all the time, and I'm not. So it would be great to reach out to you people.
There's a lot of really great talent in my group. So cool. I think those are really good things to be focusing on, like you said. Delegating, automating at your stage, I think, is super important. And I'm really excited to check out TubeBuddy. Thanks again, Stella, for the link.
I know.
You've been great to have here. So I think I've got one more question for you before I let you go, Nicole. And this has been an awesome conversation.
It has. Thank you.
Can you tell me the time that you've laughed the hardest?
That is a good question, and it's hard. I like I said earlier, I laugh a lot. I laugh often. It's pretty easy to make me laugh. And it's side note, it's one thing that a lot of older lawyers found they needed to point out when they met me. Not that I'm laughing hysterically all the time, but right, they wanted to point out that I smile too much.
I don't think you can smile. I do too. I guess.
You never smile too much. Let's see. Honestly, I think, and I don't know if it's a specific moment, but I have two sisters, and we have a lot of inside jokes. We're very close, and I can't believe I'm admitting this live, but one of our favorite movies is White Chicks. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Okay. It's silly, but I love it. So anytime we're like in any kind of situation that brings up any scene from that movie, we will like quote it word for word because we just know it. And we just start laughing. It's a funny movie. It's a little ridiculous, but it's funny.
That's awesome.
Just anytime with my sisters, really.
I think that's great. That's how I am with my wife and our good friend when it comes to Mean Girls.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
Basically quote that entire movie all the way through, and it's pretty hysterical.
Yeah, that one's a good one.
Awesome.
But yeah, just like silly moments like that. It's not you just gotta enjoy life and laugh and not take it too seriously. So
and I think it says a lot about you that you feel like you laugh the hardest with family. I think that's awesome, and I think it says about your relationship. I don't think I take that back. I've seen pictures of your sisters, I think on Instagram or whatever.
Yeah, you know what? So Instagram, I don't post a lot of super personal stuff, even though I'm pretty transparent about those things. But for some reason, Instagram I don't. Facebook I do because it's more controlled.
Yep.
I just worry about, because my Instagram is public, so I worry about posting pictures of my nephews.
Yep.
And stuff like that.
I've definitely heard concerns on Instagram about that. So,
yeah, a little bit. But Facebook, it's friends and family. So I post freely over there.
Okay.
When I do actually post.
Awesome. Well, Nicole, this has been an awesome conversation. I'm so glad that we could have you on.
Thank you.
I'm going to run through after we're done, probably listen to this again and put in any links that Stella might have missed for us.
I think she got them all. Thanks, Stella.
I think she did too. But thank you guys all for tuning in. I'm really excited to have this out there. If you guys know another attorney who might be going solo, there's a lot right now. Point them towards Nicole, because when I asked Nicole kind of what she sees as investments, I think that if you're just starting out as an attorney or another business owner, having somebody help you with strategically figuring out how to do video for your business is, to me, like that's more valuable than like marketing assistance in general.
I agree.
And I think for an attorney especially, to differentiate yourself in this way, if you can point, legal people that you know to this video, to Nicole, I think that everybody would appreciate that connection happening.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I believe that a lot of content creation can replace a lot of money spent on just other types of marketing. At least it has I haven't spent much money on marketing. I just create content and it markets for me. So I think it's important.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you, Nicole. Thanks everybody for tuning in live, and
Thanks,
I'll see you guys next week. Bye.